item 5 first, which is our information item update from the Citizens Advisory Board on Police Community Relations. We have Time Curtis, the Executive Director, and Vice Chair of the committee, Joe LaCava. Good afternoon to you both.
Good afternoon.
The floor is yours.
Great. Thank you, Committee Chair Kate, Council members, committee members. My name is Time Curtis. I'm city staff supporting the Citizens Advisory Board on Police Community Relations. With me to my left is Joe LaCava. He's vice chair for the board. The chair could not be here today. I'd also like to mention audience member Deb McKissack. She is also here and a member of the board. I'm going to turn it over to Joe to go through his PowerPoint.
Thank you, Time. Thank you to the chair and to the committee for having us. This is, of course, the first annual report of the Citizens Advisory Board on Police Community Relations. We appreciate the opportunity to be here. And as Time mentioned, the chair, Barry Pollard, had a prior commitment on the East Coast and sends his regrets. But I did work with Barry in terms of developing this PowerPoint. I thought it would be useful to kind of think about the authority that the advisory board has, since often when I approach people and tell them I'm on this board, they immediately assume that I'm on the Citizens Review Board, the CRB. So we obviously are different. We're an advisory board. The intent is to study, consult, and advise the mayor and the city council. Also have a method of community participation in recommending, reviewing policies, practices, and programs. Make law enforcement sensitive, effective, and responsive to the needs of the city. Actively encourage and foster citizen participation in crime prevention. Promote and encourage open communication and cooperation between the department and the residents of the city. And make recommendations to the community so they understand their rights and responsibilities when they come into contact with the police officers. As a reminder, we do have a 15-member board that has been set up to be both geographically diverse as well as expertise. There is one member on the board from each of the 9 council districts, and we have 6 members that have been assigned because of special expertise. The chair, Barry Pollard, who has human relations experience, but we also have those who have experience in social services, corrections, a representative from the POA, probation, as well as youth. And we've already seen in our initial meetings how that really has helped make the conversations much more robust and diverse, and ensuring that we get to good, strong recommendations. In terms of locations, one of our responsibilities is to engage the public in these conversations. And after some initial formational meetings, the board decided what would be best was for us to rotate the location of our monthly board meetings by alternating between north of Interstate 8 and south of Interstate 8. And you can see so far we've been out to Pacific Beach, and then in Canto, up to University City, and then over to City Heights. And you can see how we will alternate in our future meetings in 2018. As we get closer to June, the board will reassess where the optimal locations are for our board meetings and whether we will continue to alternate geographically or we will target them based on the subject matter in that month's agenda. As a board that is just getting itself started, I wanted to highlight a few of our milestones. It was exactly 1 year ago that the City Council adopted the ordinance that empowered the board. In March, 12 of the 15 seats were appointed, and in April, we had our first board meeting. And then in July, the mayor and the City Council filled out the board with the final 3 appointments. It wasn't until August that we had our bylaws adopted, and as you know, you can't take action until you have those bylaws, so that was really what allowed us to get started. In September, we really started moving fast, including the addition of time as a support for our board, and the web page on the city website was greatly expanded to make it a lot easier for people to understand where our meetings were being held, what our purpose was, and the location of our monthly meetings. Just a week or so ago, we did adopt our first work plan, and I'll talk a little more about that shortly. And then, of course, we're here today offering our first annual report. In terms of some of the early actions that we've taken in the past couple of months, I want to highlight a few. One was we weighed in on the police chief recruitment process. As I'm sure you were aware, There was some concern in the public about the transparency of that process, and we did take an action to recommend that the selection process be staffed by members from CAB, CRB, and the Game Commission, and that the members of the selection committee be publicly identified. We do understand that the mayor has revised slightly the police chief recruitment process, and we appreciate at least acknowledging some of the issues that we raised. Probably the most important and the most significant issue that we've taken on in our early work was revisiting the San Diego State University Traffic Enforcement Study, and specifically the 10 recommendations that were included in that study. As I'm sure you all are aware, the study was first introduced to the city at Public Safety and Livable Neighborhoods back in November of 2016, and then presented to the full council in February 2017. Our recommendation, and the next slide is those 10 recommendations, is to ask that the city council take some sort of action on recognizing those recommendations. We use the word adopt. We understand from the city attorney's office that adopt may not be the right verb in terms of what the city council can do, but we think it's important because it goes to the community's perception. And you'll hear a lot about that from the work that we do. A lot of what we have to deal with the community, as I know you deal with your constituents, is the issue of perception, which is a harder issue often to address. And we think that the council taking some action with regards to those 10 recommendations would be an important message to the community. As an example, the last 4 items, 7, 8, 9, and 10, go to data collection. You're probably familiar with AB 953, which is Assemblywoman Shirley Weber's traffic profiling bill that will require the city of San Diego, starting in July 2018, it looks like, to actually improve and be more comprehensive in its data collection. That means there was about a year and a half where we could have gotten better collection of data, more complete data that might have been useful in understanding how our communities and the police department operate. So we thought that was a missed opportunity. But again, working with the city attorney, we hope that the council can find some way to take an affirmative action towards those recommendations. Not included in your packet or in this PowerPoint is a recent action we took in support of the pay raise for the police officers. The city council took that action yesterday. We fully supported that, and it really goes to the heart of one of the issues that we wanted to tackle, which was recruitment and retention. That's a big step, and that will allow us now focus on some of the other issues associated with that. So we're really trying to make our approach very broad-based: community, police, city operations. As I mentioned, we did adopt a work plan for the coming year and the future, and it really revolves around these 7 themes: crime prevention, police officer training, community policing, police department policies, recruitment and retention, mental health and race relations. These are listed in somewhat random order, certainly not prioritized. And these will be the themes that we have decided as a board to begin working on. You have a handout that provides a much more detailed breakdown of the specific topics that we want to tackle and prioritizing them, what we want to try to tackle in the first quarter of 2018, second quarter, et cetera. We have an ambitious schedule, but there's a lot to do, and there's a lot to do with the department and the council and, of course, the community. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have. I'll talk briefly about board training because that was an issue that was discussed by our board. We, of course, got the Brown Act training, as any good city-recognized board requires. We've strongly encouraged board members to do police ride-alongs. I did one Friday night. But to do them not only in your own community, but to also go out to at least 2 other communities, to other different police divisions, and do a ride-along there. So you get a broader perspective of what is happening in those neighborhoods and what the police are facing as they go out and do their ride the beat. We've also made it easier to attend the Inside the SDPD. What we anticipate is identifying other training. Under the ordinance, we're not allowed to make that training mandatory, but we're going to strongly encourage people to take additional training that the police department offers, the city attorney offers, that the district attorney offers, so that we get that broader perspective that can inform us in making better decisions and recommendations. In summary, The board is just getting started. We have a lot of work ahead of us. We look forward to more constructive dialogue with the community, the police department, the mayor's office, and the city council. And I want to interject here that I want to offer a special moment or thanks to the police department. We have had police officers at every single board meeting, especially Chief Jarvis, that have been there to answer questions, to see the dialogue that is happening. We appreciate the mayor's office for assigning time. She's been terrific in staffing our board and helping us herd the cats to do the good work that we need to do. And then we certainly are available to come back as this committee deems appropriate. With that, we certainly, as a board, want to thank you for the opportunity to serve, and we're available for any questions you might have.
Thank you very much. Before we move to members of the public, do we have any comment from the mayor, city attorney, IBA comments? Mayor's office?
Good afternoon. And first, I would like to thank you, Mr. LaCava, and the entire board for all the hard work that you've been putting in. It is so greatly appreciated. And I wanted to briefly address the SDSU report. And so first and foremost, I would like to say that from the beginning, our office in the San Diego Police Department has been committed to implementing all of the recommendations outlined in the report. In fact, many of the recommendations were already being implemented even before the study was released. But the next real step is addressing the recommendations in this study in compliance with AB 953, of which the final regulations were laid out in November. Our office and the San Diego Police Department are fully committed to being in full compliance with those rules about how to collect and report that stop data by the state's deadline of July 1st. And we will be happy to return to this committee next year with an update on that progress. So I just want to say thank you again, and we are so proud of our police department and their proactive efforts, as well as all of the volunteers who have put in the time and effort into presenting today. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go to members of the public now. You'll have 3 minutes each. We have Amanda Lee, followed by Gaia Croson. I hope I pronounced that correctly. And then Jamie Wilson. Amanda Lee. Oh, just Jamie? Okay. And then we'll have. I believe you had the video correct. So we'll have Christy Hill. Do you mind going first then? Perfect. Apologies. We'll have Christy go first.
Okay, good afternoon. My name is Christy with the ACLU of San Diego and Imperial Counties. We are a member of the Coalition for Police Accountability and Transparency, and there are a couple of other members here today. We're here to testify in support of the CAB's annual update. The work of CAB and of PSLN is important in identifying and responding to issues as it relates to community relations with law enforcement. We ask that this committee act on, as Joe said, whatever the right verb is, act on CAB's report and forward to council for full consideration, especially with respect to their recommendation to fully adopt the SDSU racial profiling study recommendations. The SDSU study, as you know, has documented the experiences that many Black and Latinos in San Diego have known, experienced, and shared for many years. It showed that Blacks are twice as likely to be searched and less likely to have contraband, as well as subjected to more field interviews. These facts, figures, and lived experiences demand action by the city and police department. And while it's good to hear from the mayor's staff that the recommendations were being acted upon even before they were developed, we know that more work has to be done because the disparities still exist and existed while there were trainings going on. CAB's report also notes their support for an open and transparent search for our next chief of police. We agree that all of the identities of the participants should be known. We also request that the mayor's office provide community panels, including youth, the opportunity to review all applications that are screened out by either the recruitment firm or the mayor's office, allow community representatives, including youth, to fully participate in the second panel, where they will actually be narrowing down the candidate pool, and provide community representatives, including youth, the opportunity to meet with the finalists in public forums. The next chief of police will face serious issues, and the public needs to have faith in the process that selects her or him. CAB has prioritized the selection of our new police chief and addressing racial profiling as two of their first actions, because these are issues that the community has repeatedly said are important. This committee, PSLN, can take a first step in responding to these concerns by acting on this annual update. You should no longer question whether it's true that Black and brown people are treated differently by our police department. We have a shared understanding that they are, that bias policing is occurring, and that we have the tools to address it. Thank you.
Ms. Wilson?
What's that? My son was stopped in March of 2016 with 4 of his friends, so you're gonna get to see right now the interrogation part of that, but there's a lot more to it. But right now I just want to share this part with you, and I want you to take it into consideration when you're considering adopting the recommendations. And I also want to add that I think it's crazy that we're even still talking about these recommendations. Why a year ago they were brought up and we're just still talking about it. I don't get it.
Have the right to speak with an attorney of your choice before questioning and to have the attorney present during questioning. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you by the court prior to any questioning if you so desire. The attorney will not cost you anything. The services are free. Do you understand each of these rights that I've explained to you?
Yes.
Having in mind understanding your rights, are you willing to talk to me?
What did you say?
I said, are you willing to talk to me about what's going on today and why you're here?
Without someone present?
Well,
I can have somebody present while I talk to you.
Well, it's saying that you have the right to do that, yeah. I mean, we're not going to have somebody here, but it's up to you. I'm just going to let you know what's going on. It's really not a big deal.
Watching this video and my 16-year-old son sitting in a room, handcuffed to a chair, inquiring about his Miranda rights and his words just being completely ignored, him being taken advantage of as a 16-year-old child, just really broke my heart the first time I watched it, and over again every time I watched this. It shouldn't have went any further. It shouldn't have went any further. His inquiry and his questions about having someone present, if he's allowed to have someone present, should have been addressed. He shouldn't have been told that, no, we're not going to have anybody here with you. That's not how Miranda rights work. That's not how the rights of a 16-year-old child, that's not how his rights work.
Do police officers have bias? Everybody has bias. I said that specifically, is that police officers, community members, council members, they have bias. We have to make sure that in our training that whatever bias that is, be it racial, be it whatever that is, does not interfere with our fair and impartial policing methods.
You're 16 years old right now, okay? You're in second chance. The reality is you're an underperforming person as it relates to school. And you know that, I know that, we all know that. You're not dumb, you're just underperforming, okay? I don't know what things you've got going on in your life. Maybe you're getting leaned out, smoking too much weed, you're trying to figure out who you are. You like hanging out with people, you like rap videos, and you think, hey, maybe I'll be in a rap video if I hang out with the homies or something. Go to school and train. That's okay.
They don't get to just pick up children from a park in the middle of the day and take them into rooms and degrade them. Not all black children and not all children are weed smoking, underperforming, lean drinking, aspiring rappers. They didn't know anything about my son. They had him for 4 hours. While this interrogation is going on, I'm driving around looking for my son.
In my mind, my son died 50 times during those 4 hours. They don't get to do this to our kids. I just want to say that my son didn't have a criminal record. When he was stopped in 2016, we're pushing 2 years later, and he still has no criminal record now. And I appreciate you watching the story about me and my son, but there's nothing unique or special about this except that I got the interrogation footage. There are kids walking around Southeast San Diego in District 4, and I'm sure many other districts that have went through the same thing, but their moms didn't get the footage. Their moms haven't seen the footage, and their moms didn't make a video. This stop, that footage, I've seen the body cam footage. I've heard my son ask the police, are you allowed to do this to us? And I heard the police tell them yes. This has taken over my entire life since March of 2016. And you guys have control over police and community relations. Well, start somewhere, because I don't know where to go from this. I don't know if you ever sat down and watched your children sit in a room with men with badges and guns and be talked to like this. Start somewhere. If you have some power, you have control. Do something. I can't do anything. My son can't do anything. Our kids can't do anything. I can't save my son from what happened there. I can't save my son from the police. I can't do it. You guys can do something. I'm asking that you do it. Thank you.
Thank you. No members of the committee. Any questions? Yeah, sorry, the lights work. I apologize. So I would like to, Ms. Bree.
First of all, thank you, Joe, for a great report, and I'm very proud that you're the District 1 representative on the board, on the commission board. So thank you for a great report, and in particular, thank you for weighing in on the police chief search. I've been very open about the importance of having a transparent search, about the community knowing who the members of the search committee are, and hopefully having the community meet the 2 or 3 finalists. So I appreciate that you all took that stand, and I've said that we have to have a transparent search for the community to have trust in the process, because the community has to trust that the person we hire is the best person, and we need this because we want this person to be successful, her or him. And so thank you for weighing in on that. And also thank you for weighing in on the SDSU traffic study. Legally today, apparently we can't do anything. I was going to ask the city attorney, what are we allowed to do today regarding that?
It's an information report, so you could receive it if you want to take an action, but no action is necessary. You can also bring back a report. You can narrow it. You can ask for an update to this committee. Mm-hmm. The council president can docket something at council, so you can make that request to her as well. Okay.
Well, I think one of the most important things you said is AB 953 is going to go into effect. That's going to require, everybody in California to collect the same data. And I think that's one of the most important things going forward. I would certainly like to have you come back to this committee and report on how you think things are going. And I'd like to hear from my colleagues as to what they'd be interested in doing. Because the most important thing is the community has to trust the process and trust. Otherwise, we're not going to have a safe city. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bree. Mr. Ward.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I want to thank also Mr. LaCava, your chair, Barry Pollard, all the members of the Community Advisory Board, staff, the Police Department for your efforts in restarting this board, revising your bylaws, and establishing regular meetings. Particularly want to acknowledge the work plan that you all tackle. These are issues that we take very strongly, and these are tough issues. These are important and emotional issues, but we have to get these discussions right for the betterment of all San Diegans, so I really appreciate that. that you all volunteer your time and that you care as deeply as the rest of us do to be able to make progress on some of these related issues. It is encouraging to see that you're out there having rotating meetings. I would note just on your slide, City Heights, you mentioned was in D3. I'm sure is a proud District 9 community. Love City Heights, but I want to make sure credit is where credit's due. But you are coming forward to downtown, a District 3 community in March of this year, and I'd welcome the opportunity to help promote the work that you do and help drive community members out to engage with you and your board. Of course, I also want to thank you for leading the way on the police compensation conversation and your support for that measure. It was important work that the council ratified yesterday, and your commitment to recruitment and retention is certainly appreciated. Part of our conversations going forward with the new police chief, of course, I think, is that we do incorporate many of the takeaways from the San Diego State University study, that Black San Diegans are 3 times as likely and Latino men are twice as likely as white counterparts to be stopped. And I know that we've received some, we're actually ahead of the curve on AB 953 implementation. We have one of the pilot cities that are trying to collect some of that. We're a test city that are looking at some of those very same criteria. And I think from a very first review of some of that same information, it happened to show some of the very same outcomes, 3 times as likely for Black men, twice as likely for Latino men. The disparities are clear and they're there to me. And to understand that and to really treat that seriously about how we treat citizens across communities, I think is going to be an important quality for the next police chief. So going to be looking forward to working with that person and the rest of my council colleagues on that information and taking it seriously as we move forward. I did hear, and I might have heard hearsay, that this might be docketed for full council consideration in early January. I look forward to hearing from other colleagues as well about how we could move forward on these recommendations or more, and whether we adopt or endorse or recommend or whatever action we do take. I'm sure we'll work closely with the city attorney's office to get the language right. Thank you again for this report today. It's important work, and I appreciate your efforts.
Thank you, Mr. Ward, and thank you, Mr. LaCava, as well, too, for your work. I know Mr. Pollard not here today, but I appreciate the update in our office as well, too, and your work and that of Ms. Curtis as well, too, and the staff. And this is, looking at the work plan, it's a very hefty work plan. There's a lot to undertake and to go through, a lot of moving parts in terms of the items that you're working on for the benefit of the board and members of the public and our colleagues. As Mr. Ward mentioned, my understanding is that Council President Cole has some time frame of doing something in terms of council. We're still working with her office. Additionally, it's definitely our intention, depending on what happens here, and for 2018 in terms of working with the mayor's office and the department regarding AB 953 as well, too. That's our intent, but not having anything before us in terms of a calendar or whatnot, we're not quite there yet and can't commit to dates, but that's something that we will be following as well, too. And I know the mayor's office and department has been before this committee this year and prior years, too, about the implementation of that bill. So again, this is an information item, so thank you very much for your presentation here.